The EPCHS, heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the EPCHS.com.
Welcome in. It is now time for your EP Podcast Weekend Update. Sit on down at my 9-foot homemade oak bar in my basement right here in Evergreen Park. Pour yourself a cold one. For the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you everything that's going on in and around Evergreen Park this weekend. My name is Chris Lanuti, and you are listening to the EP Podcast. And it's brought to you proudly by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. They know that having a bank that can deliver under pressure makes all the difference. And when the pandemic hit, local businesses needed help securing Paycheck Protection Program loans. So they went to the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. Their employees helped 13 local businesses get more than $3 million in loans and saved more than 200 local jobs. They can help you too. Personalized banking solutions you can rely on, and they're friendly. I was saying this to somebody the other day. I moved from a big chain bank and brought my business just recently inside of the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. Why did I do that? I was sick of calling 800 numbers, waiting online, having to ask questions about my account through Twitter, showing up and having to fill out a book and stand there for 45 minutes before I could actually talk to a banker. I walk into the First National Bank of Evergreen Park at 95th and Pulaski. Everybody knows me. They're waving. I had a question about my account yesterday, sent an email to one of my bankers. He responded back that he would take care of it on his day off. I'm hooked. I'm never leaving. Learn more about them at bankevergreenpark.com/4U, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Let's kick things off with your weekend weather. It's not going to be that bad of a weekend. The high is 50. The data comes out on Friday. Up to 52 on Saturday, but into the 60s on Sunday, and it doesn't look like we're going to get any rain. Very light chance of it. And Monday still holding in the 60s before rain shows up on Tuesday. So if you have an outdoor spring project, this might be a good weekend for it. With weather like this, you might want to go out and hit a couple of golf balls. Do not forget, the driving range is open in Evergreen Park. Only credit card sales, but daily at 7 a.m. with the exception of Thursdays when it opens up at 10 a.m. If golf is not your thing, there are plenty of other activities right now you can sign up for at the Evergreen Park Recreation Department. Some of the spring activities have already begun, but if you remember a few weeks ago, then candidate, now newly elected mayor of Evergreen Park, Kelly Burke, was talking about something called Pickleball. By the way, Kelly Burke on the show this coming Monday. Make sure you check it out. They have beginner pickleball for active adults 18 and over starting on May the 5th, and it'll be running every Wednesday. They even have pickleball for ages 50 plus. It's basically a combination of tennis, badminton, and ping pong. And they're going to teach you how to do it. This is beginners pickleball. Get out, meet some new people, bring your friends. If you want to register, do it over at the rec department right near Klein Park. Evergreen Park High School football playing under the lights on Friday night this weekend. Rough loss last weekend. Head coach Jerry Verde up next. He's going to talk about last week, this game, and the season as a whole. Right here on the EP Podcast, found everywhere podcasts can be found and always at the EPCHS.com. And folks, before I continue this podcast, I want to tell you a little bit about my friend, Larry Leadforth. Larry was born and raised right here in Evergreen Park and has been in business for almost 30 years. I continuously see him volunteering his time with local sports associations, helping out the kids, helping raise money for charity. And what you need to know is that Larry is there in case you need some help as well. For nearly 30 years, the law offices of Lawrence G. Leadforth have been handling every kind of law you can think of, from personal injury cases to real estate dealings. If you need a will drawn up or representation in a criminal case, it's good to know you have local representation available, rooted in the community, with decades of experience. Located over at 4001 West 95th Street in Suite 200. Give him a call for any of your legal needs. 708-499-6300. The law offices of Lawrence G. Leaforth, here to help you. Evergreen Park High School football is playing an abbreviated season in the spring, but it's a good thing, and they are almost to the end already, only 6 games, and 4 of them in the books. Head coach Jerry Verde has told us each and every game is like a bowl game, so while this team is now 2-2, there is still 2 more of those standalone games that are going to be coming up because there's no postseason. Coach, how are you?
We're doing all right, Chris. Thank you for having me on again, and I think you hit it on the head. We've played 4 games. We're 2-2, and we've got the last 2 coming up, both versus opponents that we know we'll compete with. Richards this week and Eisenhower the next week, and there's still a lot of enthusiasm with our group, and we're happy to be out there, and we remind ourselves every few days that, we're lucky to be doing this. We really are, and I'll once again go back to where we were in January with the idea that we might not have any football. And with things getting, I'm not going to say to use the word crazy, but with things kind of rising again, and with a lot of other programs in the state, football programs in the state have lost games so far, or they recently found out that their last 2 games are canceled. That has happened. We feel lucky that, we'll be playing this Friday, and we most definitely plan on playing the Friday after.
So last week, a rough loss. You get blanked 28-0 against Shepherd. I don't want you to have to get into it too much, but what happens in that game?
Well, Shepherd is probably going to be the best team we play in our, abbreviated 6-game schedule this year. They had some really good skill players. They had some good-sized linemen. We knew it was going to be a challenge for us, and it was. But we competed the whole game. From the start of the game, we kicked the ball off. We stopped them defensively. We drove all the way down to the 15-yard line, and then we ended up turning the ball over, and we had a few turnovers in that first half and found ourselves down 21-0 at halftime, and we came out, and to our credit, we played hard in the rain for the next 24 minutes, and we just didn't score. We gave up another touchdown. The final score is 28-0. There was no quitting, that went on, so that's positive, and that's something we build off of for the last 2 weeks, but all it takes is a couple plays going a different way, and we would have really been right in that game. And because high school football is such an emotional game, getting that score, making the game close, usually changes it for a high school game, and it could have been a different outcome. So it's not like we got blown off the field or anything like that. It's just a matter of we didn't execute, and on to the next one.
How do you approach a week coming out of a game where you don't score any points, though? I mean, I would imagine you're dealing with high school kids. They're the biggest balls of emotion that you'll ever meet, except for maybe like my daughter when she was 12. I mean, high school kids are emotional, and that's got to hurt a little bit. They couldn't score. How do you keep the confidence up going into this weekend's game?
Well, you build the confidence by changing what you do a little bit. My offensive coordinator, and we've got some really good coaches, my offensive coordinator, Jason Findukian, my pass game coordinator, Darren Yarborough, our quarterbacks coach, Howie Ross. They approached this week a little bit differently. And instead of just going out there and running plays, we broke things up a little bit more. And we did different segments to really spotlight where the lack of execution was, and in a way that you can't do that 11 on 11, and hopefully by addressing those issues, you're able to build up that confidence, because the film doesn't lie. Why didn't we score? Well, we didn't block very well. Why couldn't we throw the ball in? Well, the routes weren't very good. They weren't where they were supposed to be. And it's real easy we've got a pretty good quarterback, Devin Turner. It's real easy just to say, well, he threw some interceptions. Well, it's never really that simple, and anybody who really watches the game knows that. you can't just pin that on one player. Well, they did this, they did that. Well, in reality, he was running for his life and trying to make something happen. So, those are the things you address, and if you address them well, which we think we're going to and have so far, it should change what we do on Friday night.
So Richards on Friday night, 7 p.m. game, last home game for Evergreen Park before you play Eisenhower on the road to finish off your 6-game schedule. So give us a little preview of Richards. Give us an idea of your chances. Give us something to watch for, especially if somebody's going to make it out there and watch the game.
Well, starting with Richards, they're a perennial, very strong football team. They always have a very good offensive line. They fire off the ball. They usually have pretty good size, and then they always complement that with some skill players that are pretty special. And it's not too different this year. They got a pretty good quarterback. They've got a big running back, which has been something that they've done pretty much for the last, in particular, the last 5 years. They usually have a running back that's pretty good size. They like to run in between the tackles, and number one thing you need to do if you want to beat them is to slow down the inside run game. And then once you slow that down, then you can try to slow down the outside run game, and then you got to stop their passing game. So we have competed against Richards relatively well in recent memory. And we really we plan on doing that this Friday. And offensively, if we've addressed the issues that we had last week and for some of the weeks before, even though we had scored pretty well, we think we should be right there. Every football game you play against a good opponent, you go into the game devising a way that in the fourth quarter you're in the game and you give yourself a chance to win. And we think we've done that this week in practice.
A Friday night game against Richards over at Evergreen Park High School. The team currently sitting at 2-2. Is it going to hurt a little bit when it's over that it was too short, or do you think this team is going to take away at least we got to get out there?
Well, I think there's going to be a little bit of each. To be real honest with you, we talked with the kids, even going into this last game, and Friday night in particular before the game, we said, hey guys, we only have 2 weeks left together. And this has been a really great group to coach, and the guys we have are very committed. And I told them, I said, I wish we had more time, but we don't. We got to make the most out of the time we have together, and hope that at the end of those 6 games, we've had enough. We've got enough football, and at least we've touched upon our potential, because sometimes teams can go through 6 games and not hit that potential until you get to like a week 8 or a week 9, and are preparing for the playoffs, So we can only hope that the kids can get through our 6 games and feel good about what they've accomplished at the end, because there really isn't a whole lot other choice at this point.
That's Coach Jerry Verde, head coach of Evergreen Park High School football. Good luck this weekend, Coach. I hope you have a big night underneath the lights in Evergreen Park.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
On Monday, a very popular Evergreen Park business turns 16 years old and has a very interesting start right here in the EP. It's amazing how much they have grown. You will learn all about it. Newly elected Mayor Kelly Burke also joining us on the program, and some more surprises. Make sure you tune in. If you are not subscribed, hit that little subscribe button on whatever podcast player you are using. We will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Another show is wrapped up. Another show's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. And then by the looks, it's going to be a good one. And we'll see you next week. And the nude is basement. And the nude is basement. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And it's in the books. Another show is wrapped up. Another show is wrapped up. And by the looks, it's gonna be a good one. Nudie's Basement. Broadcast Basement. The Nudie's Basement. The Broad Basement. Slancha.
The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at the EPCHS.com.